Hey guys, Sean here at the Gardener Center. So I have some more hydrangea content for us this time. That's always a hot topic here at the Gardener Center, hydrangeas, and specifically pruning of hydrangeas. So you guys may remember earlier this summer I did a video and I talked all about the Hydrangea Paniculatas, or the Pee Gee Hydrangeas, and I talked about how they were not only my favorite hydrangea, but my favorite summer blooming shrub, because they bloom for such a long time and they're so easy to care for, and they're just you can't get more bang for your buck as far as a flowering shrub in a temperate climate like ours here. But these guys do require a little bit of a pruning in the later part of the fall, and it's just that time of year now to do that. So I wanted to talk to you today about pruning your paniculata hydrangeas, because for whatever reason people seem to not ever prune their paniculata hydrangeas. Everybody wants to prune their mop head hydrangeas like I have here. So the mop heads are like the big blue flowers or the big purple flowers. You know, think Nico Blue, think Endless Summer, the Let's Dance series from Proven Winners, lots of different mop heads with the big blue or purple flowers. Don't touch these. If you have these at home, leave them be. Don't touch them at all. We don't want to prune these going into the winter. Even if they're one of the newer modern reblooming varieties, resist the temptation. We're going to talk about pruning these guys later on in the late winter, early spring, and we'll handle them then. So this guy, mophead hydrangea, out of the picture for fall pruning. Forget about them. What we do want to talk about, the Pee Gee hydrangeas, because people have a tendency to not touch these. And you want to touch these, and you don't want to be shy about it. You need to prune these, and I'm going to tell you why. So this is what, like, your unpruned paniculata hydrangea is going to be right here. And these guys, different from the mop heads, because these only flower on new growth. So the more you prune them back, the more new growth you're going to stimulate. So cutting them back in the fall, and I like to do it, you know, right about now, mid to late November here in southern Connecticut. You want to wait until we've had a couple of frosty nights. That way there the plant knows that it's not time to grow anymore. It kind of puts them to bed for the winter, because pruning often stimulates growth. So if you do it too early in the fall and it's still warm, sometimes what will happen is if you prune them, the plant's going to try to grow, and then we're going to get a frost, and that new growth is going to get fried. It's going to get destroyed. So we want to wait till we have a couple of frosty nights. You know me and my holidays with the gardening. I love to use holidays as a reference point. So Thanksgiving time, think about turkeys, and think about cutting back your Pee Gee hydrangeas. Those two things should be on your list. So again, only bloom on new growth. So I'm going to show you what we want to be doing. This is the end result. This is really, you should really be turning this into this. So I pruned this one a little bit earlier, and I know this may look scary, but trust me, you're going to be very happy with the results next year. So I got this one over here, and you can actually see on this hydrangea where it was pruned last year. And you can see exactly what happens when you do these pruning that I'm going to show you. So these stems were cut back last year, and what happens is you had this one single stem here which produced one single flower, but when you go in and prune that single stem, it forces two new lateral branches from the sides there. So now you have two stems, two flowers. So the game plan here really is the more you cut back, the more new growth you're forcing, and the more flowers you're going to get. So you're going to have a plant that's shorter, stockier, sturdier, with more flowers. So don't be scared to take this and turn it into this. And guys, you don't have to overthink or stress out too much about where you're cutting these guys. They're very forgiving, and I really can't think of a wrong way or wrong place to cut these. I've actually seen older Pee Gee hydrangeas that have been cut down with a chainsaw, and they actually regenerate and look beautiful again. That's like a major renovational pruning, but that can be done. But you really just want to go in. The only thing I don't like to do, you don't want to give it a flat top. You don't want to go straight flat across the top, because then it may have an odd look to it next year. So I just like to go in and kind of stagger the pruning a little bit like that. Make it a little more natural, some high, some low. And I try to go, you see these little leaf nodes here? This is where the leaves are. But if the leaves are gone, you can still see the little nodes where they are. And that's where your lateral branching is going to get produced next year. So you want to go in, and I usually like to go a half an inch or an inch above those little leaf nodes. Nice thing about waiting till now to prune these is most of the leaves are gone, so it's a lot easier to see what you're doing, but you get the idea. So you want to end up with something like this. You want to take at least a third off. A half is even better. And yes, you could do this later on in the winter. You could also do it next year in the early spring before the plants start to grow if you want to. I like to do it now for one main reason, is these flowers, although they are something to look at over the winter, sometimes what will happen if we get a heavy wet snow or if we get freezing rain that forms ice, you'll get these flowers and they'll get weighted down, and then your branches will tear or bend or snap in a place you don't want them to, and not in a clean cut. It'll twist and break. So I like to cut them back now because we get wet, heavy snow and ice here in the winter time in Connecticut. So Paniculata hydrangeas. This could be limelight, little lime, quickfire, bobo, firelight. There's so many different ones, but they all get cut back 1/3 to 1/2. Right now, remember, turkeys and Paniculata hydrangeas. Guys, if you have them, get out in the yard and cut them back. Trust me, you're going to love the results next year. And as always, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.